Insurance agents, what's the most unbelievable claim you received that was actually legitimate? I'd been processing claims for Midwest Mutual for 8 years when the Brennan file landed on my desk. The initial report made me laugh out loud, seeking $47,000 in damages. Cause? Emotional support Peacock destroyed kitchen during therapeutic session. I assumed it was a prank. The claimant, Dolores Brennan, was a 72-year-old widow whose therapist had prescribed an emotional support animal after her husband's death. Instead of getting a dog or cat, she'd somehow acquired a peacock named Frederick. Her policy technically covered domesticated animals, and peacocks, while unusual, weren't explicitly excluded. I called to schedule an inspection, expecting to quickly deny this ridiculous claim. When I arrived at her modest ranch house, Mrs. Brennan greeted me at the door wearing a paint-splattered apron. Behind her, I glimpsed what had once been a kitchen. Every cabinet door hung askew. The refrigerator was dented beyond repair. Broken dishes littered the floor like confetti. In the center of it all stood Frederick, a magnificent peacock, tail fanned in full display, seemingly proud of his handiwork. He gets excited when strangers visit, Mrs. Brennan explained matter-of-factly. That's when the therapeutic episodes happen. I pulled out my camera, documenting the destruction while Frederick watched with what I swear was smugness. Mrs. Brennan handed me a thick folder containing Dr. Patel's treatment notes, receipts for Frederick's care, and something that made my job infinitely more complicated. A letter from the state certifying Frederick as a legitimate emotional support animal. How exactly did this happen? I asked, gesturing at the chaos. Mrs. Brennan's face softened. After Harold died, I couldn't get out of bed for months. Dr. Patel suggested an emotional support animal, but I'm allergic to cats and dogs. My neighbor breeds exotic birds. When I met Frederick, something clicked. He needed me as much as I needed him. She walked to the mantel and showed me a photo of her with Frederick in a peaceful garden setting. He usually stays outside, but during thunderstorms he comes in. Last Tuesday's storm was particularly violent. Frederick got spooked and, well, she gestured around the destroyed kitchen. I spent 3 hours documenting everything. Frederick had indeed caused $47,000 in damage. Custom cabinets, appliances, tile work, even the ceiling where he'd somehow gotten airborne. But as I watched Mrs. Brennan gently stroke his feathers while he calmed down, I saw something genuine. This wasn't fraud. This was a lonely woman who'd found healing in the most unlikely companion. My supervisor initially rejected the claim. A peacock isn't a real service animal, he said. I did my research. Frederick met every legal requirement for an emotional support animal. Mrs. Brennan had documentation from her psychiatrist, proof of training, and even letters from neighbors confirming Frederick's positive impact on her mental health. The company tried to argue that peacocks weren't domesticated, but I found precedent in a case from Oregon where someone's emotional support pig was covered. I built an airtight argument. Frederick was legally recognized, properly documented, and the damage occurred during a legitimate therapeutic episode triggered by a natural disaster. 6 weeks later, I delivered the check personally. Mrs. Brennan cried when she saw the amount. I thought you'd think I was crazy, she said. Frederick preened nearby, apparently satisfied with the outcome. That claim taught me something important about my job. Sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the most human ones. Mrs. Brennan got her kitchen rebuilt, and I got a reminder that healing comes in many forms, even with feathers and an attitude problem. Frederick still lives with Mrs. Brennan. According to her Christmas card, he's been much calmer since the new kitchen was finished. Apparently, he approves of the upgraded appliances.